Hello and welcome to Mystica TV, the channel about healing knowledge, interviewing high-vibe personalities. In our new series in English language, we have a very special guest today. As clinical anthropologist, he connected neuroscience with the legacy of some of the oldest and healthiest cultures that are left on this planet. For almost half a century, he has studied the medicine traditions of the Americas. And he spent 25 years with shamans of the Amazon in Peru, exploring their knowledge and wisdom. He is well known as the founder of the Four Winds Society and the Light Body School. And out of several books that he wrote, 15 of them became international bestsellers. So it is a great honor for us to welcome him here at Mystica TV, Dr. Alberto Villoldo.
Hello, Katrin. It is very nice to be with you. Thank you for inviting me on your show.
Thank you also. So you talked a lot about the eagle and the condor, and you gave us this vision from the ancient cultures, from the shamans, that if the eagle and the condor representing the Western modern medicine and science, and the condor representing like South America and the ancient cultures, if they fly together, we will have a better world. So what do you think? Did they already put their peaks together?
Well, they're flying near each other. The problem is that the old wisdom, the ancient wisdom, has a lot of superstition in it. So we have to clear away the folklore and the superstition and really stay with the pure essence of the wisdom. And the problem is also that modern science has a lot of superstition in it. So science is the new religion. And people say, well, it's not scientific, or is it science proven it? And science is a way of exploring nature, not a set of beliefs. And unfortunately, science is done still by humans, or fortunately. But for example, medical science, all of it is backed by big pharma. And all of the science research indicates that pharma is on the right track when it's not. It's killing us. It's the age of Pharmageddon that we're living in. So modern science, in fact, the editor-in-chiefs of the most important scientific and medical journals have determined that 50% of what they publish is false. It's simply not true. And this is what we believe to be medical science. So we need to clean both the ancient and the contemporary. And today we need to become our own chief scientist. And we also need to become our own chief shaman, so that we can discover for ourselves what our body, what our hearts, what our souls truly need. And I go for hikes every day. I take my drum and I go into the forest and I play for the trees and for the birds, and they begin to gather and sing. We use drums softly. See, people think that you have to beat the drum when you really have to, in a way, almost make love to the drum and gently, and then all of nature begins to sing along with you. Or I'll take my rattle and I will find my own rhythm with the rhythm of nature. But today, our rhythm is set by our electronic devices and by driving to work and we have forgotten how to connect to the rhythms of nature. And this is what keeps us healthy.
So here in Germany, we go through quite a challenging time. A lot of people feel they have brain fog, they forget things, they're not really able to concentrate well as they're used to. And let's imagine that a German-speaking person is coming down to the place where you were at in Peru, at the rainforest, and meeting a shaman sitting down at the red light of the fire and talking. What do you think? Would you estimate how and what would the shaman talk, or what would he say?
The first thing they would say would be, Guten Morgen. How are you? Who are you? And what are you doing here? And in fact, when people call my telephone, I have a recording. I don't answer the telephone because I'm usually writing, but I have a recording that says, "Who are you and what do you want?" And if you can answer these two questions, who are you and what do you want? I'm happy to call you back. And that's the first thing the shaman would ask. Who are you? Do you know who you are? And what do you want? What do you want in your life? What do you want out of your life journey? Do you want to pay your rent? Do you want to pay for your new car? Do you want to get your children to? Of course, those are important. What do you really want? What does your heart and your soul long for?
So
who are you? What do you want? Are the two important questions. Actually, there are really three. Who are you? Where do you come from? And where are you going? And these are the three important questions that any spiritual guide or shaman or teacher should be asking us.
So when you look over to Germany from all the way on the other side of the globe from Chile, what is your perspective on here, on the center of Europe, on our challenge and our also great responsibility that we are in? We have a beautiful nature here too, but big trees are being cut off and people are mourning, but they feel like they cannot do anything about it. So it's very easy to talk about it, but it's very difficult. It seems very difficult in a bureaucratic country to do something against that. Do you have any idea?
The problem is that the nature inside of us is also being cut down. That our vision is being cut down, is being limited to our digital devices. We're outsourcing our brain to our digital devices. We used to remember when we were young, we would remember all of our friends' telephone number. Today, I cannot even remember my own telephone number. So that we have been hijacked. Our digital devices are hijacking our biology. And it's not only what's happening in the government or socially or culturally in Germany, it's what's happening with our relationship with nature globally. So this is what but what you have in Germany is you have great, great poets like Rilke. You have a poet that tells you how to approach life, that says in one of his poems, I live my life in ever expanding circles or rings, and I am not sure if I am a falcon, a storm, or a great divine breath. When you have such a history that you can go back to, then you can find the poetry of life again. But what you're talking about in Germany is happening globally. The rainforest is being cut down. We look at nature as being there for our pleasure, and that humans own all of the food in the planet. We don't have to share with the animals. So this is a fundamental mindset that we need to transform in order to become natural again, because you are a natural being. You cannot be disconnected from nature because you are nature. You are biology. Biology is natural. And when we reconnect with our own nature, not with nature out there, with our own nature, beginning with our gut flora, with what we eat, what we put in our mouths. I used to bless my food. I would say a prayer to bless my food. I don't do that anymore. Now I ask my food to bless me because it's the mother, it's Gaia, it's the planet. So if we can change our minds, we can change the world. But of course, you cannot change your mind until you change your brain. And that's what takes us back into the science.
So this also, you published so many books, and I think 15 of them even became worldwide international bestsellers. I will just recall one of them. This book is called Mending the Past and Healing the Future with Soul Retrieval. So I was talking about soul retrieval.
Yeah. There's a legend among the Hopi people of North America, that when we're about to be born, that we have an energetic twin. And when we're about to be born, our twin looks out of the birth canal and looks out at the world to see if it's safe, if it's a safe family, if it's a safe home, if it's a safe tribe or village. And if it's safe, it says to the other half, come on, let's be born. And if it's not safe, then we're born with half of ourselves missing, with half of ourselves that held back and stayed in the spirit world. And many people today don't feel like they belong in this world, that they belong in this planet. They go, where do I belong? Not here. And so we're suffering from a collective soul loss. And many of us were born into families that were not safe, where the mother maybe was not sure that the father would provide for them or create a safe place for her child. So, and we're living today, of course, in a time that nobody feels safe. So part of the soul leaves when it's not safe. And this is what happens during trauma, is that part of the soul leaves the physical body, and we need to call it back. But in order for it to come back, we need to create an environment where it can be happy, where it can thrive. Because the soul might come back and say, look at your life, Alberto. You're always working. You have no free time. You don't have fun. You don't eat right. You don't meditate. You don't get up in the morning and exercise. Why should I come back? Look at your life. We want the soul to come back and then we'll change our lives. No, we need to go back to nature. We need to go back to our own nature, to go back to what we believe in, to forget about the newspaper. Don't read the news. Don't even check what's happening in the world and in the internet, because you want to find out what's happening in your inner world and in the invisible world. And then your soul will feel comfortable in returning, and we will become whole people once again.
We were just talking about trauma and about an antelope when it was running away from a big lion trying to catch it. And after, experience a very strong trauma, it just shivers as if it would just shiver the trauma away, and then it just continues to eat grass and just returns to a very calm state of living. So we as humans are not capable of this quick getting rid of trauma. We need much of a bigger way. And you studied this very intensely in neuroscience. So is there an aspect that you would like to talk about, which would be very helpful these times?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for asking that. Kristen, the humans are the only animal that cannot reset their fight or flight system. And actually, it's not only fight or flight, it's fight where you're ready to combat, flight to run. And if you cannot fight or run, then you freeze. So it's fight, flight, or freeze. And everybody in America, for example, today is frozen, is paralyzed. And when you are stuck, when you're not able to shiver off the trauma, then everything is frozen. Your emotions, your feelings, your mind, your immune system, and you don't heal, you don't repair. So we're suffering collectively from this. But the human animal is the only animal whose brain is so complex that we cannot reset our own fight or flight system. And many of us have been in fight or flight, scared to be in the world and hiding since we were born, because we were born into a family or world that did not feel safe. And remember that we're all the children and grandchildren of war in Central Europe and the Americas. And so we need to find a way to reset our fight or flight system. And the ancients knew how to do this. We don't know how to do it in medicine. But the shamans and the yogis and the practitioners, spiritual practices, the very first step, the object of meditation, the very first goal is to find inner peace, to reset your fight or flight system. And then you stop producing the brain chemicals, the stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline that destroy the brain. They destroy a center in the brain called the hippocampus, which is where we encode memories, where we put memories away. And you see when the center is destroyed or affected, how you begin to get the dementias. We know many old people that remember the songs that were popular 50 years ago, but they don't remember what they had for lunch yesterday. So short-term memory is gone. We get dementia, we get Alzheimer's, we get, in the Amazon, when I was working in the Amazon years ago, I observed that Alzheimer's and dementia was non-existent. Nobody had it. But today in Germany, one of two people, one out of two people is going to have diagnosable Alzheimer's at the age of 85. And all of us are going to live to be 100. So we not only want to prevent these devastating conditions, but we want to upgrade our brains so that we can have an experience of co-creating the world with spirit. And we cannot do that if our brains are broken.
I found that so inspiring in your book, Power Up Your Brain, that I was reading with a friend several years ago. And you suggested what to do exactly in this question that you just mentioned. Upgrade the brain and then detoxify the brain. So we took all those substances that you requested or that you suggested, like MSM, alpha-lipoic acid, and also omega-3. And it was very intense for me. I remember I was really kind of falling or having to lie down on the earth at the campus of my school, my kids' school, because it was so strong for my body. The whole metabolism changed and had to switch, and I was really forced to lie down on the earth. So it was a big shift for my system, and I discovered from my own experience how much it forces me to get back to the touch to earth. Was that something that you had in mind, or do you think it was just kind of a coincidence that happened because the whole thing is just more complex?
Katrin, I have a new book that's coming out in early December. And this new book is called Grow a New Brain. And this is the part 3 of a series of books, Grow a New Body. And then I did the Grow a New Body cookbook that's soon to be in German. And then Grow a New Brain, because we grow a new body every 7 years, but we grow a new brain every 20 days. And if you can give your brain what it needs to grow a healthy new brain, it's extraordinary what happens. And this is something we all need to do because we have been exposed to chemicals and microplastics and fertilizers and PCPs and PCBs, and we have been poisoned by the chemical industry. We're part of an experiment that we didn't sign up for. And if you can detoxify the brain and give it the neuronutrients that it needs to upgrade, in 20 days, you can get a completely new brain and you can reset it. And then you can have an original thought, and then you can create psychosomatic health, and then you can dream your world into being and truly begin to manifest your dreams, because right now we're manifesting our nightmares.
What also helped me was to create a sacred space. This I learned from your books. And I would like to talk about the number 4 at this point, because you have 4 spirit animals that you focus on. You have the 4 chambers or regions of the brain. The number 4 is a lot inside of your books and inside of your science. And you have the jaguar, the colibri, the great snake, and the eagle. So is there kind of a sacred geometry or some knowledge inside of that number 4?
Yes, it absolutely is. But then we have to go into sacred geometry for a little bit. So the number 1 is a point. If you have 2 points, that's the number 2, and then you have a straight line. If you have 3 points, then you have a plane. So you can have a triangle, but it would be like a sheet of glass. If you have 4 points, you have reality. So reality is expressed with these four, with the number four, through the number four, and the sacred geometries rely very heavily on the number four to give depth, to create three-dimensional reality. You cannot create three-dimensional space with only 3 points. You only create two-dimensional space.
When I open a sacred space, I say thank you to all the winds, the four winds, and that is the society you call, then to Father Heaven and to Mother Earth. So maybe you could talk to us a little bit about this four wind society that you founded and what it is about.
Well, see, the number four, when you get to four, you get to space-time and you get to quantum physics. And number three, you still have Newtonian physics operating. When you get to number four, when you get to the ego, suddenly you're able to rise above all of the creation, and then you have the quantum soup or the quantum entanglement that we're all living in that says that we're all interconnected, that there's no separation, that space and time are flexible and bendable. But to do that, the ancients discovered that they had to connect with the attributes of each one of these numbers. Number one was the serpent, and they call it the serpent energy. It's the serpent of the Kundalini, and it's the serpent that was a protector of the fruit of the tree of knowledge, the tree of knowledge in our mythology. Extraordinary. The goddesses always had serpents wrapped around their arms. So the serpent was the one. The jaguar was number two, represented the qualities of the lion. The jaguar was the one that was not afraid to venture into the dark, into the depths of the rainforest, and that could teach us how to live with fearlessness, even in times of great fear like we're living in right now. And then the hummingbird was the third one. And the hummingbird taught us the great journey. You know, the hummingbirds, I know you don't have them in Germany, but there you have to work with the owl, for example, or the falcon. The hummingbird migrates from Brazil all the way to Canada. And they don't have enough wings they're not supposed to be able to fly, but they go on the great journey. And then the hummingbird invites us, the medicine of the hummingbird is to go on your own heroic journey. No matter if you don't have enough wings or enough time or enough money or enough courage, you say yes. You say yes to your calling. And then Spirit gives you everything you need. But you cannot wait for Spirit to give you everything you need for you to say yes. Once you say yes, you're provided with everything. You know, there's a story that the Kabbalists have about when the Israelites left Egypt. They were slaves in Egypt, exploited horrible conditions, and they left Egypt and they came to the Red Sea. And they had the Egyptian armies behind them. And they knew that the seas would part for them, but they didn't wait for the seas to part. They started walking in, and they say that only when the water was at the level of their nose did the seas part. And that's what hummingbird medicine is about. But, you know, today in the West, we don't want to get into the water. We test it with our foot. Is it too cold? Is there somebody with a warm towel on the other side before the waters part? So
yeah, it's easier to sit with a mobile phone on the couch and watch it. I think this is a big subject for our youngsters. What does that do with our brain, and what does that do with our collective spirit if we approach the world through a screen?
You know, they said something similar about the first book presses. When the first books started coming out, people were saying, nobody's going into nature anymore. Everybody's reading these books about nature instead of going into nature. So we're in the midst of a tremendous technological change. And we can complain as much as we want about the kids being attached to their books and their notebooks and people texting to each other instead of talking. But we're in the middle of a revolution, of an extraordinary revolution. And it's happening. Let me take you to the big eagle picture. Okay? It's happening during an extinction event. And there have been 5 extinction events in the history of life and the planet. The last one was 65 million years ago. The one we're in began about 10 years ago. And this is all the indigenous prophecies for speaking about it. But today, more species are dying off than in any previous extinction event. And this one is human-made. But during extinction events, nature steps off the brake and steps on the evolutionary accelerator. Evolution is no longer following the laws of Newtonian physics, it's beginning to follow the laws of quantum physics, taking quantum leaps. We're in the middle of an extraordinary extinction event where nature favors wisdom over technology. It favors intelligence, but not necessarily technology. But we need to be part of this revolution. What's been happening in the last 50 years is that the human brain has shrunk by 10%. It's getting smarter. But at the same time, it's getting smaller, but it's getting smarter. And part of it is our engagement with technology. But right now, we're being invited to take a quantum leap to become a new human that the shamans call Homo luminous. Not Homo sapiens, not thinking human only, but Homo luminous. And if we can do that, we will develop a body, we will grow a new body that ages and heals and dies differently, that can use technology, but has not been taken over by technology. And during extinction events, there are always mass die-offs. And we see this happening. In America, 80% of the population is obese and is diabetic, 80%. So the mass die-off is happening right now. And we're going through that critical time of transition. And if we can make it, we'll become that new human that will use technology for the benefit of the planet and each other and all creatures, but not be exploited by technology. Yeah. So we have to simply learn how to adapt. Adaptation is essential.
That's why you founded with your wife together the Light Body School. I'm very interested in to hear what this Light Body School is about, because I think it summarizes a lot what you also brought out in books like this. The Enlightenment Within Us, for example, a German translation of one of your books, or also the 4 Insights, and so many things that you published within the last, let's say, 40, 50 years, which is really amazing what you brought out into this world. So could you tell us, what are you doing at that Light Body School?
Well, today our medicine is focused on the biology and the physical. But there's an energetic component. We have an energy field that surrounds the physical body. And that energy field has dark spots in it. It has what they call in China stale qi, or qi energy that is dark, that needs to be cleared and upgraded. And what creates disease is when this energy is trying to make its way out through the physical body, and it goes through the least strong to the most vulnerable organ to try to make its way out of the body, and then we get a disease. So it's so much easier to clear these energy imprints directly through a chakra than to have it go out through one of your organs. And if you upgrade the quality of the energy field, removing these imprints for disease, then you don't have to get sick. Then you create health. In fact, we train our students that illnesses do not exist. Sick people exist, but illnesses do not. And that disease, if you can create the conditions for health through your diet and through upgrading your energy field, then disease goes away by itself, or it never appears in your body. If we can upgrade the field by downloading the codes for Human 2.0, then we can grow a completely new body that becomes resilient, because things will happen. Things happen to everybody, but we want to develop resiliency, the ability to bounce back, to heal quickly. And this is what we teach at the Light Body School. How do you work with the energetics, not only to heal yourself and help heal someone else, but to prevent disease and to upgrade the field to the field of human 2.0, to become that new human that ages and heals and dies differently.
So there's several components, for example, the nutrition, meditation, then your physical exercise, but also what you just said, quantum physics. It's, I think it's one of the sciences of the future, but it's more than science. It's something that you also brought here from the depth of the rainforest and from the shamans. Could you give us a little bit of an insight? Where did you find those aspects of quantum physics in that very old, ancient wisdom?
One time I was in the Andes Mountains, and I was speaking to a group of shamans, about 8 or 10 of them, men and women, and telling them about quantum physics. And I told them about the butterfly effect. And the butterfly effect is that butterfly that flapped its wings in Beijing and caused a tropical storm in the Caribbean. And they go, wow, that's fantastic, Alberto, fascinating. And can you show us? And I said, what do you mean, can I show you? This is physics, it's quantum physics. They say, well, no, can you flap because I had a brand new PhD. Can you flap your little doctor wings and heal somebody in India? And I said, I can't do that. They said, we can. So our science is descriptive. Quantum physics describes this butterfly effect, how you can influence events remotely. They know how to do it. Quantum physics tells us that there are regions where time passes differently, where you can maybe influence events in the past. They're discovering in quantum physics that an electron can leave a room before it comes into it. That means that you can journey back through time to heal an event that maybe occurred 1,000 years ago in a previous lifetime of yours, and that caused soul loss. Or that you can journey to the future to find a future healed state and anchor that in your timeline, select it out of the many possibilities. And it can begin to reach back like a giant hand and take you to that future healed state. So this is what I learned from the shamans, that they were practitioners of quantum physics. They knew how to do it, not only how to describe it.
So we're now at this big point at the turning of the ages. A lot of things kind of round up and end, and new things are rising. But a lot of people are, as we just also said, in fear and don't know what to do. But the state of Mother Earth is something very central and important for all of us. So how do you sense Mother Earth in this time now, 2024?
Look, we're facing a big die-off in humanity, not only in many species, but also coming with humanity. The Earth will thrive. Look at what happened during COVID, during the coronavirus. Excuse me, during the coronavirus, 2 years in lockdown, nature came back. Amazing. The Earth will be fine. What our job is to become Earth keepers, to become Earth guardians, stewards of the Earth. And if we take care of the mother of Gaia, she will take care of us. Individually, not only as a species, each one of us will be looked after. We will get the codes to upgrade our energy field to become that new human. And that's what I want to invite each one of us to do, all of our listeners to do, is to say yes to your calling, to upgrade the quality of your energy field, to know that you're not only a physical, biological being, you're an energetic being. And you can work at the energetic, at the quantum level. We have the tools. The ancient wisdom has the tools. The modern science describes it, but they know how to do it. See, the shamans differentiate between wisdom and information. Information is knowing water is H2O. Wisdom is being able to make it rain. Information is having a diagnosis. Wisdom is being able to heal. So I want to invite all of us to take that quantum leap, to make that a priority for ourselves, to become that new human that we've all been waiting for, that are you and I.
Last question, Dr. Villoldo. We in Germany, we have this, as you just said, we have great poets, but some of us are also stuck with the cognitive function. We try to get back to our heart and really open it and get back to our senses and really be sensual in our environment. But it's not easy. And as you just say, if we strive towards the homo luminous, as the shamans call it, and you at the Light Body School, we need support. And I think it's so great to know you, because you came from neuroscience. You, with 25 years, you were the youngest professor at San Francisco State University, and you founded and studied at bio-self-regulation laboratory. So I think the Germans really need bio-self-regulation. Maybe you could give us kind of a story or a little hint for that kind of a, let's say, disposition that we have.
Yeah, I would encourage us not to wait until we get sick to start getting healthy. Make that your priority today. Practice prevention. Read. We have so much good science and good information. My new book on the brain, it gives us everything we need that you can do at home. And or you can come and train with us to become a neuro shaman, a modern shaman. We train doctors and entrepreneurs and business people and nurses and lay people and postal workers to become modern neuro shamans. So you can first heal yourself, upgrade your energy field, grow a new body, and then you can help others to prevent disease and to become part of this experiment, this evolutionary experiment that we're taking part in becoming the new human. The time is now. Don't wait.
Thank you so much, Dr. Alberto Villoldo, for sharing your time with us, your knowledge and your wisdom. It was a great pleasure to have you here at Mystica TV.
Thank you so much, and blessings to you and blessings to all of our listeners. Thank you.